All right, how's it going, guys? So today we're going to be learning how to create some marble materials. We're going to make both of these. This one is pretty much a variation of this one with some extra stuff going on. So let's go ahead and start tackling how to create these materials. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete these two, and I'm going to go ahead and just get any material, any model you want. This being procedural, anything goes. So it doesn't matter what model you're using, it will work on it. So let's go straight here to the shading window and start working on the shading of this material. So we're going to click the new button, and I'm going to bring this up because it doesn't really have to be that big. We can just kind of see what's going on already. So what we need to do here is get in a color ramp and kind of pick the colors we're wanting this marble to be. Now, marble does not have to be black and white. It can be kind of tan. It can be very, very dark colors. For the most part, though, we're going to maintain a white and a light gray for this particular marble. Marble has tons and tons of variants. There's very popular versions of marble, so you can be very, very creative with it and it still be under the classification of a marble material. So let's go ahead, Shift A here, and then get in a Voronoi texture. I'm going to hit Control T, having the Node Wrangler add-on enabled. You'll just need a mapping node and a texture coordinate and use the object coordinate. So what we're going to do now here is just plug the distance here into the color ramp, and I missed. If you hear a little jingling in the background, that's my cat. So let's go from F1 to distance to edge. You've probably seen this several times, where we're just going to get this kind of cracked looking material and bring our color ramp somewhere to right about here, so we get these nice cracks, but there's still a little bit of dimension here with the material, so we can have some depth that we can exploit with the bump. So let's go ahead. Now let's go ahead and add some detail into this Voronoi. So let's get a noise texture and plug it into the vector line, which is right here. I accidentally picked white noise. I just need to get the regular noise texture here and plug it right there. And it's kind of going to make our material go mayhem, but that's totally okay. So we're going to go ahead and give our detail here up to 10. And then we're going to get Shift A, search a mix RGB. So we'll plug the mix RGB here and plug the object into there. What that's going to allow us to do is to maintain the shape of the original Voronoi, but adding some detail. The reason we did that is so we get the detail in these shading, the shadows, not really shadows, but there's some fall off here that we were able to exploit from the fall off there. So we add some detail to that fall off, and this is sort of the markings of marble. You have these nice little details that are very much noise texture looking. So now we have this so far. We can bring the scale of our noise texture down to 3, so it's not quite so much. And then let's go and bring the scale of our Voronoi down to like 2. Maybe a little bit bigger than that. So we have this. Now we just start disrupting what's going on in the shape of the Voronoi, and we want to use a noise texture to further kind of distort the shape of what we have. So we're going to go Shift A here and get in a noise texture, plug that straight into here, and it's okay that this is distorting it. It's just noise on top of noise. Let's go ahead and bring the detail of this noise texture up to 10 as well. So what we're going to do here is get a mix RGB and plug it. So we'll just get mix and plug it right here. Now we need to get another color ramp here. Now we're going to change the, we're going to add another color ramp back here later. So just make this back to black so we can have some more control. And then we're just going to go ahead, Shift D on this color ramp and bring it right about over here. Plug the noise texture into that. And we're going to plug the color ramp into the mix RGB. Now what this is going to allow these two textures to speak to each other. And we have this going on so far. We're going to go ahead and use the soft light mix method here. Using the soft light mix method, we can bring this over here. It's hard to tell what's going on, but this is going to give you a little bit more control later on. Let's get that color ramp so we can start messing with the true color of our marble here. So we'll bring this over like this and give it that light gray. So now we have this. We need to use another noise texture to further distort the shape. We have some distortion going on. We have some stuff happening here. This noise texture is doing a little bit, but it could be doing more. And we're going to add in a little bit more distortion. Shift D on this noise texture here. And we'll put our detail on this noise texture down to 2. We'll plug the vector into this. And let's get in another mix RGB. Plug that right here, and we'll plug the factor into the color. So what's happening now is we're able to mix everything we've done here and this one noise texture. Now you can see we're getting some really interesting things happening. So if we bring this color ramp over like this is just the noise texture we're seeing. This is just everything else. And if you mix them together, what you can use, you can utilize all this fun stuff. So now you can see these variations in the cracks. So see how this big gap is there? You otherwise wouldn't have that. So this noise texture is closing the gap for some of this stuff, and that's what's really exciting about this method is now we have some variation in the shape of that Voronoi, and that's super, super cool. Now what we're going to do here is take this color ramp, Shift D, and we'll plug it right here, and let's just further exploit this effectiveness, this noise texture affecting all this stuff up here. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring this over. So the black needs to be on the left side. So let's go ahead and we can bring this color ramp in, and now we're getting some of that variation right there. So now we get something pretty cool looking. So now we have this. What we're going to do is go back here to this mix shader and start adding a little bit more manipulation to this and start working on making this look like marble. So we can bring this back, bring this up, something like that. We don't want to have these super hard edges here. So we can go ahead and switch this from linear here to B-spline. And also, this one up here also needs to be a B-spline. So now what we have is a much more marble-looking marble, basically. So we'll go ahead and kind of play with this, crunch these in to get a little bit more contrast, something like that. So now we have this. Let's bring the roughness all the way down so we get that nice-looking marble. So far, we have a nice looking, very clean marble. Now, what if you want to add even more detail to these super plain white portions of your piece? Let's go ahead and add a simple trick here. Let's go and get a mix shader here instead of a mix RGB. Let's get in a diffuse BSDF. So the only reason why I'm using the diffuse BSDF because it's just a much smaller node. It's basically the principled without a bunch of the other stuff. All we need is this dark gray color, and 0 roughness. So I'm going to go ahead and try to grab this gray color from this color ramp over here. I'm going to hit the hex, Control C, copy that, and then we'll take the color, Control V. So now we have that gray. Let's go ahead and plug this diffuse into the shader. Bring this up. Last thing we're going to do is add a noise texture to be able to kind of control those two together. So let's just go ahead and grab one of these noise textures, Shift D, bring it over there. And then I'm going to go ahead and Shift D, duplicate this color ramp there. And let's go and plug the factor into the color here, into the factor. And let's use this mapping node here, plug that into the vector of our noise texture, just like this. Now, let's go ahead and bring the detail of this noise texture to 12 and the roughness pretty far up. Now, we can see a bunch of new detail in this color here. So let's go ahead and just bring this in like this and then bring this in like that. And look at this. We're adding some detail into our scene here. So let's go ahead and kind of play with where those are going to show up here. So kind of mess with it in this area. And there we go. We've added some detail into what's going on here. And if you want to make it show up less, you can bring down the color of this color ramp, almost like an opacity. So let's say if I did this, you bring down the white color here. It's like an opacity change. If we just bring it down like that, it's like an opacity change. So it's really nice, but I'm just going to bring it back so it's not quite so obvious. And now we've created some detail within our marble material, and gives it another layer of kind of realism and some character in our marble. Now what's really, really fun is if you want to make this inverted, sort of make this a black or an inverted marble. So you can bring this in like that and then play with those colors. Maybe bring that all the way down to a black because there are some really cool, really dark marbles that exist. And then you can go ahead, let me go back here, and then change this. Say I've seen kind of a dark green marble. Look at that. Now we've created kind of a dark green marble. Make this all the way black as well. Now we've created a really nice dark marble. So there you go. That is how you create marble here in Blender. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned some stuff, and I'll see you in the next video.